Well, it only took 8,020 regular season games, and finally the New York Mets have a no-hitter of their own. Joining us now, Jason Stark of ESPN.com. Jason, put into perspective just what this means to the Mets when you consider the lineage of the star pitchers they've had, from Nolan Ryan to Tom Seaver, Doc Gooden, Pedro Martinez, and others. Just how special is this?
Well, you know, things happen in sports that defy logic, that defy what you think is possible. And the Mets' no-hitter streak was one of those things. How a franchise like this, that employed Gooden and Seaver and Ryan and Cone and Darling and Koosman, could ever have gone 50 years and 8,000 games without a no-hitter seems like it would be impossible. But, you know, after a while, it was a streak that almost took on a life of its own. And I have a lot of friends who are Mets fans who thought that this streak would never end, that it was destined never to end. And Johan Santana had other ideas, and that's one of the things that made this so cool.
Yeah, Jason, what do you think was most impressive about Santana's performance tonight?
Well, you know, Johan's such a warrior, and to be coming off of the shoulder surgery that he's trying to come back from, to have been a guy coming into this season with so many questions, where the Mets, you know, even once the season began, even as recently as this past week, I had somebody from the Mets still say he wasn't sure whether Johan was going to make it through the season. And to watch the presence of Johan on the mound tonight, and to understand that even as he was approaching and passing the most pitches he had ever thrown in any game in his life, that there was no way he was coming out of that game. What courage. What a warrior this guy is. And then there he is on the mound with 2 outs in the ninth, facing a guy in David Freese, who, if you remember, saved his team from losing the World Series last year with 2 outs in the ninth. I mean, that is not an easy guy to finish off for out number 27. Yeah. And, you know, Johan had a great feel for, he was not going to give in. He had a great changeup. He's always had a great changeup, and he was going to ride it as far as he could ride it.
Now, you mentioned Freese, the Cards' top-hitting team right now in the league, so it wasn't like he got it against a bunch of munchkins out there. And in terms of Santana, he threw a complete game in his last outing as well, Jason. So in terms of pitch counts, he went north of 130. I mean, how many pitches do you think Terry Collins will let him throw?
Yeah, I've often thought that the hardest job in baseball is to be the manager of the Mets, as one of your pitchers was working on a no-hitter and reaching uncharted pitch count territory. And that was Terry Collins tonight. You know, what do you do? I think he did exactly the right thing. He left this up to Johan Santana. You know, ran to the mound with 2 outs in the 8th inning just to make sure he was okay. Put his arm around him when Johan came off the mound after the 8th, and made sure that Johan wanted to go out there for the 9th. And clearly, you know, Johan's a man of such incredible strength and character. There was no way he was leaving that game with a no-hitter on the line. It was something to see. First
no-hitter after winning multiple Cy Youngs. Last guy to do it was Brett Saberhagen in '91. What do you think the odds are, Jason, he misses his next start due to arm fatigue?
Well, I hope not. You know, I hope this doesn't leave any kind of negative stain on Johan's career, because this should be the greatest night of his life. And, you know, it's certainly every manager's greatest fear. It's every Mets fan's greatest fear. It's anyone who loves baseball's greatest fear, that a guy would push himself beyond his physical limitations to finish off a feat like this and then never be the same again. It has happened in sports. It's happened in baseball. But you certainly wouldn't want to ever think that it was going to happen to Johan Santana, because this was a special night.
You don't mess with the Johan. Jason Stark, of course, a fountain of trivia. You know, San Diego Padres are now the only team without a no-hitter. You can include that in your next column on ESPN.com.
Will do.